Hi, this is Lindsay from Super Secret Powers Coaching. This video is week 4 of the 30-day Intuitive Connection Challenge. Our topic today is adding a little bit of perspective to some of the lessons we've been learning. Our first 3 weeks were more about technique and about building some foundational skills and thought about how the intuitive process works in your life. But today I want to add a little bit of perspective and a little bit of bonus material that I hadn't intended on covering, but it just kind of came to me out of the blue as I was listening to some of the posts on our Facebook group. And I feel like it really needs to be shared tonight with you. And I do apologize for turning this video out late, but there's no stopping horrible digestive issues when they come. But that is in the past, and we are now moving forward. So when it comes right down to it, we are not really objective about ourselves or our path. We are our own worst critics, parents, and even enemies. But we are also the first person to usually believe that we deserve to have the good things in life. Yet rarely are we ever receptive to hearing what somebody else thinks, that maybe we can do something better or be more. Our guides and our guardians are not our parents. They can be our best friends, but primarily they are our working partners. Our relationship with them should be one of equality. They have a larger perspective and knowledge base than we currently do, and we have the will and the hands to act in the physical world on that guidance. It's a partnership of strengths, where both sides need each other to get the job done. So let's get real here for a moment. Receiving guidance that you need to do something, like say start your own business, become a minister, or even being able to use your abilities professionally, doesn't mean that the venture is destined to be financially successful. It just doesn't. But it can mean that you are being called to walk the path of the entrepreneur, or a healer, or a professional psychic. Walking the path and being financially successful tend to be two different things. If you decide to follow that guidance and commit yourself to that path, then it's time to make the mortal world skills complement that guidance. Your guidance alone isn't going to cut it. In other words, you're going to have to learn whatever it is you need to learn about whatever business or service you're going to commit yourself to. Being called to do something doesn't make you an instant expert on how to sell it. It doesn't mean that everything you try is going to work out. Every launch, every product will be successful. It just means that you're called to walk the path. Guides and guardians aren't omniscient. Sure, they know more than we do, they see more than we do, but they aren't always aware of all things or all conditions around us or any given situation. If we ask how things are for one person in Nepal, it might take them a little while to check in and actually get back to us. They're not omniscient, they might actually have to figure it out as well. So really, there are no dumb questions when it comes to what you need to have explained by your guides and guardians. Because when they have a better understanding of your concerns and your viewpoint, they can better support and communicate with you. But sometimes they still have to work around us. Sometimes guidance isn't being given because they're being straightforward. And we talked a little about this in the last video, in video 3, about needing validation. Sometimes they will guide us one way so that we reach an understanding, grow in a certain direction, or take a chance we might not normally have. Sometimes it's so that our path can intersect with others at the right time, in the right emotional state. Sometimes it's not about us at all. Sometimes we need to intersect with someone who needs our help. So guidance about, let's stick with the example of opening some kind of spiritually based business, might not be about your idyllic dreams of working every day on what you love. And it probably isn't about peace or the easy road. It could very well be about teaching us to balance our wants versus our needs, or about learning to apply our energy and passion consistently in order to reach goals. Or it could even be a lesson about taking risks. Committing to that kind of guidance is usually about learning how to redefine our own comfort zone and our edges, and that's usually not a peaceful process. Having validated guidance, or a green light as I like to call them, means it's time to put in the work that's needed, regardless of the outcome we think we're working toward. Our job is to take that ride from the center of our power. And sometimes that ride will be bumpy, and sometimes it'll be wild. It will make you question whether you are on the right road, or why you just can't seem to be happy. But that is a long, dark night of the soul. And it's part of any guided road that we do commit to taking. We are never guaranteed the easy road, and guided roads are rarely easy. It will take everything you have, everything you are, and you will come out of that dark place stronger and better than you were before. But we must answer the call, put on our gear, and take the adventure as it comes. In business, we must learn to market, even if our empathy seems to be a natural handicap to that. We must learn to balance the books and ask for what we need, including help, including bartering for other services. In a healing practice, we must make sure to hold extremely well to our center and our energy, and to balance client need with client wants, especially for people pleasers or someone who needs external validation. Our job in the partnership with Spirit is to hold center and maintain our own integrity. When you get major intuitions about things you might be called to do here, some questions you might want to journal about to help get some clarity are, and you might want to grab a pen and write these down. I will also post them so that you will have a written version of these questions. What does this path ask of me? Where might I need to grow in order to make this happen? What must I learn? What do I actually need to begin this? As we look to close up our 30-day challenge, keep in mind the videos, the meditation, and the tools provided here are yours to keep and use. But the best way to keep perspective and the sense of openness you might have gained during this month is to find ways to keep reminding yourself. And the best time to begin that is now. Now when you are motivated, when you do have something you're going to want to remember later. So when your feelings are sharp and clear, you want to make sure you set yourself up. Because the minute you let your vibe back down, the minute you start to come back down to a more livable pace, because intuitive highs aren't a livable pace, they're a high. They're meant to inspire. We need to remember that inspiration, that fire that we did have, because if we let the vibe go back down, we're just going to have to keep building it back up. So we might not be shooting for the high, but we're shooting for the memory of what we could be. My own personal favorite ways to keep reminding myself of where I should be aiming, not living from, but aiming toward, is through collecting quotes, leaving myself post-it notes, and surrounding myself with things that remind me of those feelings, little mental cues, even if they come through statues or pictures or even just colors. Sometimes I build myself mini meditation images that inspire certain feelings, something I can just sit back and tap into without having to go into a fully meditative state. Now, I would like to talk about a few last thoughts about intuition that we haven't covered yet. This is the bonus material that it just came to me, and I wish it had come to me, at the beginning of this month, but it's here now. The thing about staying in a high or high frequency energy is that we aren't meant to live in it 24/7. in a revelatory moment, we get a sense of what it can be like, and we chase that feeling time and time again. We beat ourselves up when we can no longer sustain it, thinking that maybe we were just lying to ourselves, or that maybe we weren't good enough to keep it up. But no one is. Intuition doesn't come to us only through high vibration or positive messages that are meant to be shared with the world or other people. Our lower times are equally as intuitive, insightful, and potentially enlightening. It's just a different kind of message, and it's usually much more personal. Our shadow intuition speaks of things that we must watch out for in ourselves, the things which hold us back. It speaks to the things we need to prepare ourselves better against, until we're able to shift those challenges on our own. Shadow intuition is quite potent, and it tends to last longer than a normal outward intuitive hit will. It often feels like there is something wrong with us or our lives. If we aren't centered in ourselves and not aware of this shadow work that's going on, it's easy to let that state get us down or even depressed. And it's easy to become self-judgmental in that state. So remember that just because you aren't in a high or positive state of intuition doesn't mean that your intuition has stopped working. It means that it has focused itself inward. So record your hits and observations during even these inward periods as you would for any other type of intuitive hit. And you can learn to shift intentionally. And one little kind of quick tip to try and work with is by setting aside a safe time and place to read for others. And it's not something you might want to do professionally or even record at the end, but it's simply getting yourself back into the practice of shifting your focus back outward. And often when you are able to achieve that balance consciously, as in you already know you're in an inward flow, and you try to consciously reach outward to help read for somebody else, we find a mirroring process that happens where we are speaking our own guidance to this person. What also can help balance an internal intuitive period in our lives is gaining a larger or greater perspective, like take a 1,000-foot view of the challenges that the shadow is trying to guide us to inspect. So you might want to do a visualization where you're an eagle or a hawk and look down upon your life from that angle. Finding the balance between the inward and the outward is the goal. As we talked about in our first few videos, we cannot be disconnected from the universe or the divine. We are always immersed in those fields and flows. We are either inwardly focused or we're outwardly focused. Being and staying in touch with your intuition is not as hard as it seems, and it isn't all about meditation, but it does require some very specific skills you don't learn in too many places. You have to learn to center into yourself. You have to learn how to cleanse and cut the cords. You have to learn to ground into power, how to shield and filter your energies. You have to learn your boundaries and to gain a sense of discernment. You need to learn how to shift from an inward state to an outward state of flow. And you need to know how all those skills can work together to bring you a life that is more in balance and more authentically and powerfully you. How many of those skills have you mastered and used in your daily life? I know it took me a very long time to even consider them real tools and real solutions to what I was going through. The thing is, I bet you use them more than you think. The problem is no one ever stopped to tell you what you're doing has a name. No one stopped to tell you what to look for when you're trying to learn these techniques. But that changes here. Before we end this challenge, I want to tell you a little bit about my course, the Thriving Intuitive course. It's online. It's your online boarding pass to a personal intuitive journey. Take the journey that will leave you feeling confident and empowered in your role as an intuitive, because this course is all about learning to connect you to your intuitive abilities and skills. This course is about learning the skills that you need to bulk up on, which you need to refine, and learning to use them to keep yourself open and not suffering or worrying. This course is about building a practice around you to support you and your abilities. And there's no reason this course wouldn't work for you because it's about you. By investing in these skills and in yourself, you're going to get clarity and peace because you're going to learn to connect to your guides and guardians, and you're going to form that deep relationship with them. And you're going to learn to find your centers and boundaries. You're going to feel protected because you're going to learn how to shield and filter and draw those boundaries. And you're going to learn to build a solid practice of intuitive hygiene to keep yourself rolling well. And you're going to gain confidence and a sense of empowerment because you're going to master your intuitive process and the process of grounding, centering, shielding. You're going to discover the edges and core of your soul. And you're going to connect with your power, your passion, and your purpose in this lifetime. This is a course for intuitives by an intuitive. So what you can't connect with from reading or watching videos, you'll be able to learn by connecting with other intuitives like me, the teacher, or the other students. There are lessons that many had to learn from the School of Intuitive Hard Knocks, but it doesn't have to be hard anymore. So pop over to the link that's listed below, and I'll say it out loud in a second for those who are just listening to me, and get on the email list for this course to secure my early bird pricing and spaces. The first run of this course will be limited to only 10 people. I will open up the early bird special and spots to just the people on my list before I start advertising to the public. So the only way to make sure that you get into this first class is by getting on the email list now. And the course is set to debut in late summer 2015. And you can go to that link at www.supersecretpowers.com/go/thriving-intuitive/. I'm going to leave the group up for at least another week so we can kind of catch up here because I had due to my illness. And I will be announcing the 3 winners of the challenge at the end of that week. And I look forward to seeing you all in the group and hearing all of what you have to share. And if anybody has any questions, please go in the group. But these videos have been so much fun to produce for you. And I really sincerely hope you enjoyed them and got some benefit from them.